I just can't figure it out, Draper. Miles hates conventions, meetings, seminars, all those things.
Oh, April, he's gone to them before, hasn't he?
Of course he has, but never without Nicole. Well, that's what I mean. Those two are almost never apart.
Hey, now, come on. You know that's not true, April. Look at all the long hours he spends at the office. All the late hours Nicole spends at the studio.
That's not what I mean, and you know that's not apart. Draper, I don't know. I'm worried about him.
Nicole seem worried?
Yes. As a matter of fact, she seems very disturbed. I don't blame her. She's told me all these strange things Miles has done. Well, look at this. This is a prime example of it. You wouldn't do anything like that, would you?
Do what? Go to a medical seminar? No, I'm a lawyer.
Come on, that's not what I mean. You wouldn't just take off and go somewhere without me, would you? Or at least not without asking me to go.
Me? No. Why would I do that?
Because that's what you did last night.
Now, what are you talking about?
Well, you did. Did it in my dream.
April, I know you think your dreams are special, but this one is just damn silly.
I know it's silly, and I know you would never do anything like that, so tell me now why I dreamt it.
Because you weren't dreaming about me. Now, you read that dream book. What did it say about symbols? Dreams are full of symbols. One thing can stand for another. One person could mean someone else.
Okay, I know what you're saying, that I actually dreamt about Miles, but you were the one in the dream.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Draper, that's not possible. It was too real. It was specific, like all my other dreams.
Look, are you talking about the dream with the baby in the hospital?
No, this one wasn't in the hospital. This one was right here in this house.
That's good. At least you saw some different scenery.
Yeah, it was different. And yet, it was similar. I mean, oh, Draper, all those dreams, they make me feel very sad and lonely. Well, I felt that in this dream, too, only this time there was, I don't know, there was something else.
Well, come on. Tell me about it.
All right, well, I was in the kitchen, and I heard the baby crying, and the crying was coming from upstairs.
That's logical, April. I mean, that's where the nursery's going to be.
Yes. Well, anyway, I called to you to go up and get her, and when you didn't answer me, I went running out after her myself. I'm coming. Draper, could you just go up and get her for me, please? Draper? Draper. Okay, Julia, Draper. Draper? Oh, my God. You don't belong here. Just go away, please go away. Leave us alone. Do you know where Draper is? Do you know where my husband is? Please tell me if you do. It's true, Draper. I saw the man's face, and he was crying.
Crying about what?
I don't know. But I'll tell you something. I never, in my whole life, felt such pain in anyone's tears.
grateful about one thing. Mr. Seward's visit answered a lot of questions.
Well, one question it hasn't answered is why Benny Hayes was hanging around our house last night.
Mike, I'm not concerned about him. I really don't think he would do me any harm.
Even so, it wouldn't hurt to have someone warn him to be careful.
Oh, darling, I really feel so sorry for Mr. Seward. It's almost as if he came to get some kind of absolution from you.
I suppose that's why he was here, to have me say that it wasn't his fault.
Well, it wasn't, of course. Although he probably could have been a lot stronger with Mr. Henson.
Obviously, the strong one was Mrs. Henson. If she hadn't spoken up after his death, we would have never known what really happened.
Mm-hmm. Do you realize how evil Margot Dorn has been? And I know that's a strong word.
Just because she wanted to have her daughter in the same town, she prevented Draper from taking a job that he really wanted.
Yes, but what makes it even worse is that she had somebody else do the work for her.
Exactly.
Oh, it's so ironic. It really is. I had understood that she and Draper had ironed out all their problems and that they were actually getting along with each other.
Well, I suppose they still can, if none of this comes out.
Mm-hmm. Meaning we have a conspiracy of silence?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I mean.
Silences can sometimes be broken. I know. Look at what happened with Benny Hayes. And me. I had promised that no one would know about our little deal, and now everyone knows.
Well, if Draper hears about Margot's little deal...
It would be a disaster. All right, Mike, I suppose that Mr. Seward's visit didn't really change anything, not as far as we're concerned anyway.
If anything, it made it more important that we say nothing to Draper. Obviously, Margot is a lot more of a manipulator than we thought she was.
Yes. Did you know that she actually tricked her own daughter?
How do you mean?
April told me that she saw Margot call David Henson in New York and ask him to see Draper again and give him another chance at the job.
I'll bet that her finger was on the receiver the whole time.
Either that, or else she called him back later and told him to forget the whole thing.
Well, can you imagine how angry Draper would be if he found this out? I don't think I'd like to have my partner in that state of mind.
Absolutely not.
Oh, incidentally, did I tell you that I've decided to give Draper a full partnership?
Really? When did you decide that?
Oh, I've been thinking about it for some time, actually.
But I'll bet you didn't make up your mind until last night.
Well, it would be good for Draper and for me, too. He's proved his value to the firm. And I think it would help him face the future with a little more confidence.
Yes, I'm sure it will.
I plan to tell him in a week or two after I've talked to some of our clients.
Oh, they're going to be so happy. Oh, April and Draper really need some good news. And it's something that Margot can't spoil.
Yes?
Good morning.
Oh, hello, darling. Oh, I was going over the ratings. By some miracle, they did not plummet on the news, even though I have been doing some of the broadcasts.
Why should they? You've been terrific.
Well, I can't project Nicole's image, that's all I mean.
Margot, you are a beautiful woman, and you know it.
Suddenly, I feel slightly less than beautiful this morning.
Why? What's wrong?
Oh, did I tell you the good news? Geraldine Saxon has agreed to spearhead our election coverage. Isn't that great?
Oh, well, that's what that meeting was about. Nobody said anything to me.
You mean I didn't tell you that?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, darling, my head has been so full of so many things. Now, Nicole suggested that we get a political expert in to cover the election, and Lord knows Geraldine Saxon is an expert.
Well, you know, I think that's absolutely terrific. I really do.
Yeah. Actually, I'd suggested it to her the night before last at dinner, only we had a little distraction. Strangely enough, the same distraction occurred last night.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about my dear, beloved husband, Mr. Elliot Dorn.
Oh, so that explains it.
Explains why that... Oh, you mean my less than cheerful mood. Yeah, somehow seeing Elliot does take the cheer out of my life. He really outdid himself last night. You will never guess what he wanted.
Money, probably.
No, not this time. No, this time he wanted a divorce. You see, he wants me to divorce him, so he'll be free to marry his new love, Ms. Nola Patterson Madison.
Nola, are you serious?
I am deadly serious, darling. Only Prince Charming isn't going to hear those wedding bells for a second time, because I don't intend to give him a divorce. Not in a million years.
Did Elliot actually say he wanted to marry Nola?
Well, it didn't come as any big surprise to me. He's been making a blatant show of his affection all over the place, didn't you know?
Well, I knew they'd been seen around town together, but I just presumed it was publicity for their movie.
Oh, no. No, Elliot wants to be a star. He wants to be the leading man in Nola Madison's life. You see, she's a very wealthy woman. She made millions of dollars in her career, and she's had enough sense to hang on to it.
I don't understand it. I mean, didn't she just get separated from her own husband?
Yup. But from what I've read, her divorce proceedings have already started. Only, darling, Elliot's going to have to wait a long time for his.
Margot, I thought you wanted to divorce Elliot. That's what you told me. You were just waiting for it to get less hectic.
Oh, did I say that?
Yes.
Well, glad I overcame that impulse.
Margot, I think you're just doing this out of spite, aren't you?
April, I don't care what you want to call it. All I know is I don't want to do one thing to contribute to that man's happiness, not after all the things he did to make my life hell.
All right, Margot.
Darling, I know what I'm doing is right. Now, it is right. I'm helping that poor deluded woman. She'll find out what kind of a person Elliot is. He'll drop her like a hot potato just as soon as he realizes he won't be able to get access to her money by making her his legal spouse.
What about the fact that he happens to be your legal spouse?
Darling, he can't touch a penny of my money. I've seen to that. Oh, no. No. He's going to have to get a hold of her money, and now he's not going to be able to do that.
Look, Margot, I know you don't want my advice.
Darling, I don't need your advice. I know what I'm doing is right.
Well, Margot, the way I see it, you are hurting absolutely no one but yourself, not Elliot.
No, you're wrong. No, I've never felt more satisfaction in all my life.
But that can't be true. Elliot told me how that woman treated him, as if he were her private property, not as a husband.
Mrs. Madison, a lawyer has to accept what his clients tell him at face value. However, there are two sides to the story.
But how do you know her side?
Well, fortunately, I happen to know Mrs. Dawn's attorney, Harvey Reed. Now, I don't mean that Harvey is betraying any confidence. Well, as you know, there isn't any legal action against Mr. Dawn.
But what did he say?
Well, there are certain facts about Mr. Dawn. Some facts that wouldn't sound very good in a divorce court if Mrs. Dawn chose to contest the action.
But he has no choice. He has to bring the action against her since she refuses to do anything.
My advice to you is to get that lady to change her mind.
You don't know what you're asking. She's doing this out of sheer spite. She doesn't want her husband to be happy with any other woman.
That may be the case. However, I really can't ask Mr. Dawn to institute an action unless he's prepared to lose.
I thought you were supposed to be such a terror in the divorce courts, Mr. Palmer. That's what I heard.
I do the best I can. Frankly, there is very little I could do with this particular case.
But why? What did Elliot do that was so wrong?
Well, I suggest that you ask him.
No, damn it. I paid you a retainer. I want something for my money.
Well, if you insist, Mrs. Madison, to put it as politely as possible, Mr. Dawn was less than faithful to his wife.
Do you think that would shock me? Look, when a wife treats her husband as that woman treated Elliot, what more can she expect?
I'm afraid that his actions can't be excused so easily. And then there are charges of larceny.
Larceny? Are you saying Elliot stole something from her?
Mrs. Madison, I really don't think it's my place to repeat these things. Now, if you wish to have your retainer returned, that's acceptable. Especially since I won't be able to handle this matter for Mr. Dorn.
You won't handle the case?
Mrs. Madison, there is no case. Now, I really must go. Would you please tell Mr. Dorn to tell me if he hears from his wife? And if she institutes any proceedings, then I'll be happy to be involved. Good morning.
Good morning.
Who was that?
He's an attorney, Don.
Your attorney?
Yeah, I'd hoped he'd be yours. He's a divorced man, considered to be the toughest in Monticello. I thought it wouldn't hurt to consult him about this.
And? What did he say?
Oh, Elliot. He says he thinks it's hopeless. He says that your wife has too many grievances against you, that she could butcher you in court if you tried to get the divorce.
Yeah, I suppose she could. Not because I did anything. I want you to understand that. Whatever I did, Margot drove me to it. But I suppose she could make my actions sound reprehensible.
Oh, it's so horrible and so unfair. When two people love each other and still can't be together.
It's unfair, all right.
But, Elliot, we can still live together, even without the formality of divorce. You're not hers anymore, you're mine, aren't you?
Of course, darling.
And you'll always be mine, no matter what. Isn't that what you said?
That's what I want. Not necessarily what I said.
What do you mean?
Nolly, you know how I feel about casual togetherness, meaningless relationships. No ties, no commitments, no vows. Nothing to bind people together.
But that doesn't describe us. We're not meaningless or casual. God knows we're not children, Elliot. If you want commitment, vows, you have mine. I swear I love you. I swear I'll always love you forever.
Like you loved Owen forever.
Elliot, don't look like that. I've never seen you so cold.
I feel cold. I feel like a block of ice. I feel as if she's frozen me out of your life forever.
Draper!
What?
Anna left all the mail in here.
Oh, thanks. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. How's April feeling?
Oh, April's fine. You know, the baby's starting to kick now, so that makes April feel wonderful. Except her nights, Mike. Her nights could be better.
In what way?
Well, she's starting to have bad dreams again. All because Miles decided he had to go to a medical conference for 2 days.
How would that cause bad dreams?
Don't ask me. I think April doesn't like the idea of Miles going anywhere without Nicole. You know how she is.
Well, Draper, April is pregnant, and pregnant women sometimes tend to be a little emotional.
Yeah, that may have something to do with it. But what's funny, Mike, Miles is the one going away, yet in the dream, I'm the one that's missing.
Where were you?
Don't ask me. But in this dream, April hears the baby crying. So she goes to get the baby, and I'm not at home. And suddenly she sees this strange man standing there, and he's crying. Like, I don't know what it means. Does any of that mail my...
Take a look for yourself.
Thanks.
I've got to call Judge Edwards' office and talk to his law clerk and try to get a trial date set. Anna, would you get me Judge Edwards' office, please?
What do you know? Harry Grayson, he finally sent us something. You know, if we charged this guy interest on all the money he owed us, we'd make a lot of money.
Eric Watkins, please. My car calling. Oh, I see. Well, look, you tell him that I called, ask him to call me back. He knows what it's about. Yeah, thank you. What's that?
It's a letter from Henson's widow.
Henson?
Yeah, David Henson. You remember him, the lawyer from New York with Seward Paxton Whiteside? He's the one that stopped me from getting that job in New York. He died, Mike. His obit was in the Law Review just the other day. Why is she writing me? Is there only one way to find out? Huh?
Draper, nothing.